Okay. I've tried making this video several times. Um, Here we go. Hopefully, one final last time. Where to start? I've got a lot to say on this, so I guess I just got to get into it right away. Um, I just can't anymore. These women have got to be put on blast. So let's start right here. As you can see, the title of this lady's video, Put on Blast by the Prince of the Manosphere. No, you weren't put on blast at all. But I'm going to put you on blast here. Uh, now you're going to get put on blast because it just has to be done. It's not to be mean spirited. It's really this is like a humiliation ritual at this point of constant gaslighting and projection while you're being told that you're the one that's gaslighting and projecting. It's just intolerable. Okay, so let me set it up here. What we're reacting to. This individual right here is dad mode in dark mode. I've come across him maybe about a month or two ago. I've probably watched about 5 of his videos. There was a couple of them that I quite liked. Some of the ones that they just weren't really up my alley. Never, I'm not a fanboy. I'm not a hater. Not anywhere. He's all right. It just happened a few days ago that this reaction that he did ended up in my feed, and it was very milk toast. This is why I'm doing this reaction, because it's really even bizarre that it ended up provoking such a response from this young lady that he reacted to. Um, so she makes a video. I've never come across her channel either before. Make Life Medicine is the name of it. She reveals some screenshots in her video here. It seems to reveal her name is Caitlin, so I'm going to call her Caitlin for this discussion. She basically makes a video of talking about how she's 38, she hasn't had kids. She kind of realizes that that's probably, that window has passed her by. She doesn't really know what she feels about it. Maybe she's a little bit melancholy. She doesn't regret the way that she's lived. But then again, she did buy into feminism, and maybe she shouldn't have done that. You can watch it all for yourself. I'm not going to go back and play all this for the sake of brevity, because that's not really what I want to focus on here for the purposes of our discussion around feminism, modern women, men, and all of those dynamics that it entails. So anyway, he makes a reaction to it, and if you watch that, you'll see that he's extremely even-keeled. He takes several minutes at the beginning to talk about how he's not going to reveal the name of her channel, as he doesn't want subscribers of his possibly going to her channel and maybe having some untowards behavior. He recognizes that there are several things he agrees with about her. He's actually goes out of his way, in my opinion, to be quite sensitive. But the long and the short of it is that he basically, if you could sum up the conclusion of his reaction to her, is that he's basically just showcasing to a male audience. He's obviously, I don't know if he takes the label or not, but would be within the manosphere, red pill content, men's content. I don't think he's exclusively that, but he is a single dad. I do believe, if I remember correctly, in his About section on his channel, he does say that his content is mainly or mostly focused towards, men and his plight as a single dad and maybe being divorced or separated, something as such. So that has to be kept in mind for the angle from one where he's making his reaction. And knowing that in these spaces, which I have been consuming content from for a good 15 years, this is very much a theme, a constant theme, more and more, of women getting to this lady's age that freely admit that they had embraced feminist ideals, had lived the lifestyle when they were young. Now they're kind of questioning everything, but it's had consequences that they can't undo, and they're expressing either regret, confusion, sadness, whatever it may be. I'm wondering how they're going to continue with the rest of their lives. And it basically seems because he doesn't even say in his reaction what really the purpose or there's any conclusion of it. Let's take a look here. I guess maybe the best we can do is look at the title. So this was his original reaction to her. Alone at 38 and no one told her why. So she kind of does say why. She does recognize that she lived feminism, and this is really the kind of the culprit as to why she's in the situation that she's in. But anyway, this is the point here. So let's get to the heart of the issue is, so after he makes his reaction, the one I just showed here, then she comes out and makes this reaction for 41 minutes, where quite honestly, it's really kind of shocking, kind of astounding, the amount of triggering and honestly just nastiness that we're going to get into. Condescension, vitriol. It's just so illustrative of the toxic dynamic that we have going on today with modern women and interacting with men that just have a different opinion. I've said already a couple of times, and I'll keep on saying it. You can go and watch the original videos, and there's no way anybody's going to sell to me that this guy, Dad in Dark Mode, or Dad Mode in Dark Mode, is attacking or being overly condescending or insulting. He just basically has a different take than what she has on her own position. You made a video, Caitlin, and put it up online to the general public. People can look at it and react to it and have different takes. This whole reaction video here that she's made could have basically, been like less than a 1 minute video, and you could have just come out and said, well, you're wrong and I disagree. That's it. It's absolutely, it's even hard to speak to. Is it proof of neuroticism? Extreme, just entitlement? Control issues, extreme resentment and bitterness towards men that they can have, that they have just a different opinion on something that you've said. But it's got to be called out. We've got to stop this nonsense. I don't think we're going to stop this nonsense. It's way too far gone. This is going to play out. It's going to play out until the end, and we're probably just going to have to set up something better once, because this is not going to be sustainable for any type of working situation in mass in society, especially in light of the great feminization, as academic Helen Andrews has been talking about here recently, of how the major culture and societal shaping institutions of Western society, particularly here in the United States, of course she's American, that's what we're talking about, are completely becoming dominated by women. And not just women, of course, because if you come up through academia is virulently feminist. She gives the stats about how the judiciary is very quickly going to be dominated by females. The Supreme Court almost is. Speaking of the Supreme Court, we just had the latest appointment that couldn't define what a woman is at the Supreme Court. I mean, this is absolutely bizarre, intolerable, insufferable, and neurotic, dangerous, radical. How many more adjectives could you find to describe this? We're going into complete Delulu land where we're detached from reality, and it feels like we're all supposed to, I guess we either just kind of bitch about it or treat it as a joke, or we're supposed to pretend like this is somewhere in a semblance of rationality or normality, and it's not. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing here. We've just got to call a spade a spade. And as I said, we're not going to bring this back in mass. I don't believe. Maybe we could, but maybe we could make a few people up, wake a few people up in the process. And even if we can't, it's just, as I said in the very beginning, this is like a humiliation ritual at this point. There is definitely something of great value just to be honorable, defend the truth. I think especially as a man, I think that's especially something that falls more under the paradigm of masculinity, to defend logic, rationality, the truth, to be kind of the bedrock of reason. So this is why I'm here doing what I'm doing, because it's not about some petty infighting and drama and wanting to pick on this girl Caitlyn or support the manosphere. This is way, 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 way bigger than that. Way bigger than that. But going back to Helen Andrews and talking about the great feminization, academia is already completely dominated by women. The media is dominated by women. As I said, the judiciary, law school, psychology, psychiatry, already dominated by women. Like I said, these are the major cultural institutions that form thought and opinion. And as Helen Andrews says, if you wanted to sum up the great feminization in one word, it would be woke or wokeness. And we've seen this insanity already. And we have no reason to believe it's going to get better at all, especially now that this mindset is consolidating power in all of our major institutions that form the culture. With such things as, I think the best example of the damage this paradigm does is, transgenderism, especially directed towards children. I won't ever budge an inch on this. This is extreme child abuse, and anybody listen to this, you could tell me. I haven't seen any masculine men participating in this agenda at all. To my recollection, I think I may have seen a few emasculated, effeminate kind of, soyish men kowtowing to their wives, but this is almost 100% unhinged women that are pushing this insanity to convince 9-year-old kids, 8-year-old kids, 10-year-old kids that they're not actually the gender that they are, and put them on life-ruining hormone blockers before puberty. This could be a whole video on its own. Don't know anybody listening if they've seen the infinite amount of videos coming out now of people that are detransitioning, that are full of regret, talk about how their life has been ruined. They've done these abominable surgeries that it's now revealed also that this has basically been a great medical experiment. They have no idea what they were doing. Has anybody heard about this? Accounts of how, male to females, got themselves a neo vagina, and they used, forearm skin, to make it, and they've got, hair growing inside of them. This is like Frankenstein shit that's going on. And this comes from wokeness, the great feminization, this neuroticism that we're allowing to dominate and as I said before, seeming to that if we're, I don't know, if we're kind of berated enough, which is what happens here in this video. As I said, this is a great example of how this is happening. And for whatever it's worth, it's just got to be called out. Whether we're going to change it, whether we're going to stop them, whether we're going to back it up. In the name of dignity and righteousness, somebody's got to say something. So I'm going to say my 2 cents here. So let's just get right into it. Did I set it up enough here as to who is who? This is Caitlyn. She does her video. He reacts. He actually does a reaction afterwards as well, but we're not going to get into that. But I can reveal more as we go.
like alterations are an externalization of pain and strong emotion intensity. So what's your point? What is your point? Yes, I got this a long time ago. And for whatever reason it was, like trying to prove something, trying to like create an identity, I still have it now. And do you want to know why? Because I think that it's cute. And also, I know women older than me that have septum rings that are married with 5 children in happy marriages. So I know that you...
Okay, here we go. So this is the first one. So what she's talking about, if you didn't get it, is that he was addressing the beginning of his video how she has a septum ring, how she's tatted up, and that these are signs of unresolved trauma. I think he quotes, well, he does quote Carl Jung talking about this. And then actually, which you didn't see, as I started it late, she actually says that she agrees with him. She knows all about Jung. That's why she goes into, so what's your point? So let me help you out here, Caitlin, because it should be very obvious if you were to pay attention, which you have to know, which you seem to be ignoring, that he is making men's content for men and talking about how we see identifying these consistent patterns of women with septum rings, women that are tatted up. They've bought into feminism. Now they end up being middle-aged and they're in a bit of a crisis. That is the whole point. Okay, once again, it should be very obvious if you actually are informed on these issues, which you claim to be, but you obviously aren't. Then she goes on to say that she knows women that are 40 years old that have 5 kids with a septum ring, they're happily married. I'm calling BS. I've been hearing this crap too long from too many women. Every damn time I hear these ridiculous claims and I look into them, I'd never have found them to pan out. When I look at it, we're supposed to just take their word for it once again, right? Just like we're supposed to take their word for it that it's okay for these kids to change their gender at 9 years old. And if the father complains about it, like Jeff Younger did in California, where the woman, his wife, literally took his son to another state in California to run from him, where she would be protected by those laws. So he loses custody because he won't go along with it. Just as happened in British Columbia as well, too. I think they actually gave jail time to a man that would not go along with this lunacy and use the proper pronouns, the proper, in quotes, pronouns for the mental illness that his wife is foisting on their child. I mean, this is what we're gotten to now. I mean, this is predatory on children in a massive way, and the men have to be the protectors and stand up. Of course, you know, if Caitlin listens to this video, I'm sure that this will be taken out of context and saying that I'm saying that she is participating in transgenderism, which maybe she is. I have no idea. But obviously, for any rational person that is fair-minded, I'm using this as an example of it's the exact same type of mindset that you're seeing here, that we're all supposed to be going along with, that is unhinged, radical, and neurotic. And it's got to be called out. We've got to put a stop to it. Speaking of predating on kids as well, another leg of this is what's going on in academia of the tsunami of female teachers that are essaying their students. I follow the Law and Crime channel on YouTube. It is sometimes it's a new story or multiple stories every day of kids as young as 11-year-old that are getting 34-year-old teachers pregnant. They're having several month-long relationships with them. They're having trains ran on them by the high school football team. They're having thousands of text messages sent back and forth over weeks and months at a time while they're cheating on their husband. They almost seem to be doing this openly within the school environment. They're so brash about it because when they're caught and all the evidence comes up, you have I've watched dozens and dozens of these cases where they interview these women. You see the body cam, and you just have to think to you like, when are they ever even teaching? There doesn't seem to be any focus on teaching at all. It's like this sex-fueled, debauched Sodom and Gomorrah environment that, as you could tell, the words even escape me. And meanwhile, these kids are coming out with, I've worked with them for years and years, just, semi-mentally handicapped for the most part. They can barely even function after 12 years of public education. And what else has happened? When I went to school, I'm over 55 years old. When I went to school, we still had the majority of male principals. At least half of the faculty were males. Not anymore. It's like 90%. And it's just become a complete and total zoo, a sex-fueled, degenerate zoo. Once again, in the name of wokeness and the name of this attitude of, well, you girls got it, go girl, this is girl power, right? We've been promised that the world would be made better if we just put enough women in charge. Sorry, not sorry. I don't see it happening at all. It's ruining everything. We're being forced to live in an intolerable clown world reality that's actually dangerous and sick.
You really like your stereotypes, and I agree with you. Stereotypes exist for a reason, but they don't always apply. Like, I'm sorry, I am not the liberal feminist that you want me to be. I'm just not. That just like ain't me.
Yes, she is, absolutely, and I'm going to prove it here completely with her own words. And once again, this isn't to beat up on her, because I have come across this too many times for too many years, that all of these women that hold hard, fast feminist convictions live them out. It's beliefs, values, and are completely convinced that they aren't. That there are some kind of paradigm of fairness and traditionalism. It's absolutely totally bizarre. And once again, if you even just push back mildly, as this creator did here, it just all comes exploding out in a neurotic, vitriolic attack that we're supposed to take seriously as some kind of discussion. It just can't be. No, that they. So this is how we have gone so far left in society and so radical. The Overton window has shifted so far that I believe that these women believe that they are not feminists, but they don't even really know what that means. They will, if they're not like Caitlin here, if they don't have blue hair and have kept themselves fit, let's say, they're not into women. Maybe they're willing to be a stay-at-home wife or mother. Maybe they have some nominal Christian values, and that's usually about as far as it goes, as to them not being feminists. But if you ever get into a real conversation about what their beliefs are and their positions on real issues that are absolutely 100% feminist and absolutely 100% lies, obfuscations, untruths, or half-truths, such as, and anybody listening, if you don't know, you just don't know. I'll debate anybody on any of the following and show you, give you all the links, give you the creators. I'm going to cover them here in this video as well. That all of these things are complete and total bunk, and they were pushed for a Marxist feminist agenda that was propagated to overturn the order of society, and has succeeded. It was never about equality. It was never about fighting oppression, ever from the very beginning. So that's the first one, because I used to be the same way. And it's been probably close to 10 years now where I've realized, no, feminism wasn't ever good from the beginning. Almost everybody, like this woman, I don't know about her, but I'd be very curious to find out, and I would almost put very good money that in almost every position that I'm going to talk about right here, she would hold a hardcore, fast feminist position on all of these. So if thinking that the suffragettes had a righteous cause fighting for the women's right to vote, which is a complete and total lie. There were way more anti-suffragettes than there were suffragettes. They wrote and spoke eloquently about how women were going to lose their privileged position back in the day if they were forced into the political realm. They shouldn't be forced in the political realm. They said this was going to ruin the family because it would potentially pit wives against husbands, splitting the politics of the house, etc., etc. Many people like Rachel Wilson, Janice Fiamingo, Karen Strawn, and many others have done excellent work on this and give you all of the receipts and show you. But I'll bet you Caitlin here would believe that feminism was a great thing, it was needed, it's just gone crazy now. Because almost everybody does believe that. The wage gap. Wonder if she would believe in the wage gap. I wonder if she would believe in the mainstream push narrative of DV, domestic violence. That it's mainly or it's overwhelmingly one-sided of male perpetrators against women, which has been absolutely, totally debunked. And actually, when intimate partner violence is one-sided, it's overwhelmingly the females that are the aggressors, not the males. And females are much more likely to use weapons than males are. I can go on and on with feminist talking points that I can pretty well guarantee you that she would embrace and not believe that this is feminism, because these things have become, you can't even describe them as really feminism anymore, because they've become interwoven into the fabric. They're in academia now, not taught as feminism, just taught as facts, when they absolutely aren't, and they have been and are easy to completely debunk. No fault divorce. What would her position be on the family courts and the tender years doctrine of 90% of custody going to the females, when we have a slew of evidence that shows us that there is no way that in 90% of the time the mother having custody is in the best interest of the children? Does she even have, is this even on her radar? And if it's not, in today's society, with these discussions, especially with men's issues going mainstream and so much awareness being put out there, one is supporting the status quo then, if they can't see that these are obvious abuses that are extremely anti-male and biased towards men and masculinity, and especially fathers and husbands. And if you at least don't have these on your radar and saying, hey, there's something going on here, maybe we should look at this, then you're supporting the status quo, and the status quo is feminism. So by default, you definitely are a feminist, in that you hold hardcore feminist positions that are pushing terribly toxic and destructive policies. So, Caitlin, yes, you are a feminist, and we're going to go on to show this and make an airtight case for it, just like the vast majority of women that claim not to be. They've got to be shown, they've got to be either called out or educated on this. Hopefully some of them will come to their senses. That's what I would like to have. It's not a matter of fighting and beating up on somebody. It would be very refreshing to see a lot of these women. Wow, I've listened to this guy. He made some really good points. Maybe I should take a look at it. That's all I would be asking. Just like I would expect that some irrational person that is mature, sincere, claims to want to have an adult discourse, which she does claim in this video, like dad mode and dark mode, that she could say at least, well, I don't agree with him, but maybe we'll have a discourse. But she doesn't. You'll see. She goes into profanity-laced tirades of calling men all kinds of different things, and him and it. Well, it'll speak for itself. Let's see at this one if she has anything else to say. Sorry for the ghetto setup here of my videos. I'm not looking to be a professional YouTuber. I don't, I'm not going to take the time to edit properly. As you can see, I've just got a bunch of tabs of the same video open here with the time set at the times that I want to react to. It is what it is, but it'll get the job done. It's practical. Anyway, got a lot to get into, so let's go.
I am probably one of the most critical people of that subsect of the population.
Okay, so here we go. I'll give you a challenger, Caitlin, if you watch this. Okay, how much have you challenged them on the lies about the wage gap? How much have you challenged them about the lies about false accusations? Right? How outspoken have you been about all of these high-profile cases that we saw with Amber Heard and Justin Baldoni and the fraud, even though Harvey Weinstein was a complete total scumbag, as Candace Owens showed, as Janice Fiamingo has shown, and many others. It's an absolute farce that this man was legally guilty of SAing, a girlfriend that was with him for 5 years after the incident, that his defense team brought in reams and reams of text messages, emails of her expressing her love for him, the trips they took to Paris 5 years after she was SA'd, supposedly. And literally the prosecution brought on a domestic violence SA expert that testified that this was normal behavior, trauma response of being SA'd. This is the Delulu land that we have gone into. Completely, we are losing and pretty well have lost some of the bedrocks of logical thought and jurisprudence, deferring to this neurotic female paradigm. And I'm sorry, but not sorry. That is exactly what it is, and that's what we're demonstrating right here. That we do not have anymore the concept in jurisprudence of a reasonable person standard. We have to be able to agree on some of these principles if we're going to have a functioning society. What would a reasonable person? And if we put an expert up on the stand that will say, somebody is testifying to put a man in prison for 25 years, that he did a brutal SA, and even still they stayed around that person when they can't provide any proof at all that they were forced or coerced to do so, expressed their love, took trips with them. I'm not gonna. It's demeaning and humiliating, insulting to your intelligence as an adult to even debate something as such. We never would have for all of history. We are very quickly going into complete, total mainstream insanity. So I would love to know what your positions are on the things that I just named, Caitlin, if you are so critical of feminism and what they're all about. Because I'm pretty damn sure in the vast majority, if not all of what I just brought up, you know nothing about it, you don't have positions on it, and if you do have positions on it, they aren't pushing back on it. But let's see. The challenge is out there.
And yes, at the same time, I fell victim to it. I was raised by a very intense liberal feminist. Is that where my independence came from and my desire to explore and travel? I don't think so. Do you want to know why? Because my mom never would have done that, and she didn't do it. And neither has anyone else in my family that I know. This was just an urge that I had when I was in college to travel. And are you saying that
Okay, so here we go. This is golden. This is golden. These are the perfect examples of exactly what I'm talking about, of the gaslighting, the disconnect, or the plain dumb, or just the ignorance. I don't know which one it is. I don't know if it's a combination of them all, but we've got to call it out for what it is, and that's what it is. So she says that she's talking about going to travel because he says, and she brings it up at least 2 or 3 times, about how these feminists love to travel. Okay? And this is going to get really rich here. Really rich. Okay? And she is saying, well, I was raised by my mother that was a feminist. I had all kinds of family members that were feminists. But this didn't come from feminism. This just is an idea that occurred to me when I went to college. Okay, Caitlin, you just said that you are so critical of that aspect, that paradigm in society, that community of feminism, whatnot. So it is impossible, if that is true, that you don't know that feminism is hardcore push through. Probably the focal point for pushing feminism in our society is through academia today, through gender studies, women's studies. This is not even debatable if you actually know anything about what is going on. So you don't think that there's any chance at all that this idea just came to you when you were in university, when you were for sure swimming. You said that you were a feminist when you were young. So you, by your own admission, you were swimming in this milieu of feminist ideology, examples, and that had no effect at all. Right? She says, well, because my mother didn't travel and the other feminists in my family didn't travel, I didn't get this idea from them. I couldn't have gotten feminist ideas from anybody else. This is just completely, totally disingenuous, and it's gaslighting. Are you really that unintelligent to put forth something as such, like logical argument, and we're supposed to engage in this? It's not happening anymore. Okay? Because then what happens is, if you talk like I'm talking right now, of really just calling this out and say, look. Okay, we're done with this nonsense. Okay, well, we're done, because I've done it so many times where I'm like, that is some ridiculous shit that this person is saying. Doesn't make a lick of sense. But I know what the reaction is going to be if I really just call them out. So I don't. I keep the peace. I'm not doing it anymore. Okay, I'm not. It's not us. It's not us. It's you. That's ridiculous. Completely. And Homeboy didn't even come close to doing any of that. And this is what like I said, he's being way more reserved and censored of himself than I am here, by far. And this is the reaction that you get. Can you imagine if she sees this video and does a reaction to it? And we're going to get there. We're going to get there about where this is going to go. Another thing that has occurred to me is, it's very well known, once again, if you actually are informed about what feminism is, what it's done, the policies it's implemented, and especially how that has adversely affect men in general in a major way. There were many, dozens or hundreds of exclusively men's organizations and spaces where only men were allowed. They have been systematically sued to be destroyed and allow women in every single one of them over the decades. Meanwhile, women can absolutely have their own. They're exalted to have their own and keep men out. Now, of course, feminism has pushed the idea that this had to happen to get rid of toxic masculinity. Things will, of course, be made better if you let all of these women in. But this is a lie. The reason for it was actually very commonsensical and very healthy. That when men are amongst men in their spaces, they have a way that they go about things that are much different as than when females are introduced into the equation. I have experienced this time and time again myself in the workforce, in education. It is beyond debate. And men are much more direct in the eyes of females, let's say much more brutal, raw in their assessment, in their characterizations of things, that the vast majority of females find overwhelming and offensive to their sensibilities. But it's just that. It's offensive to their female sensibilities. Many times men find it offensive too. But you know what it gets? It gets shit done. It sets up hierarchies. A lot of times it's not nice. I wouldn't say it is. I don't know if anybody listening to this saw another great example, the Bear Grylls survival show called The Island, I believe it was, where they put just the men on an island and just the women on the island. Perfect example. The band got together, almost military-like right away. They made themselves a hierarchy. You're going to be in charge of the water. You're going to be in charge of getting the food. You're going to be in charge of fixing the fishing nets, etc. And literally within like 48 hours, 72 hours, they were almost having a party. They were eating. They were drinking. They had made a campfire, etc. The women almost died. They did everything through vote and being equal, living in a communistic, type of egalitarian deal. Then they started catfighting amongst each other. Sorry, not sorry. And no, it's not. It's not social engineering. This is hardwired biologically into the behavior patterns of men and women. So I don't think that these conversations, because this is what's going on. Dad mode in dark mode puts this reaction out basically for men, but on a public forum of discussion between men. Okay, because this is something that we're going to get to here real quick. That's a big part of her negative reaction, is that she is being attacked in the comments. Now, this is very rich. His comments on his page, and we're going to go and take a look at them. And I'm sorry, no, all it is men in men's spaces calling things out the way that they see them. There's no attack. There's no letters flying like bullets off that screen from his page into her face. That is not happening. But this is the way that they will frame it. If you just have a different opinion into what they decide should be your take on things, they go ballistic. This is complete totalitarianism, and that's what feminism has been from the very beginning. A supremacist, bigoted movement, not to make things equal, to put women on top and shut men up. And I'm going to go through the examples as they come to me, reacting to all this. Another great one before we play here again was Jordan Peterson in 2015, his rise to prominence when the province of Ontario in Canada was trying to, and I still don't know to this day. I never looked. I think he was successful in pushing back on that. Was he? That they were going to codify into criminal law that you could be criminally charged for misgendering a transgendered person. And once, do you think that this is coming from masculine males? Of course it's not, in any way, shape, or form. It's coming from wokeism, feminism, and by and large, a vast majority, biological women that are producing these totalitarian agendas, where you need to shut up and do as you're told as we see fit. But the point is, as you see fit is insane. So we're not doing that. Okay, let's just...
It's like a feminist thing for women to want to travel and see the world and experience things. So what, no women should be archaeologists or anthropologists? Like...
So you see, here we go, right? Here's the gaslighting, and the talking down. And we're supposed to pretend like we're dumb as though that's a good faith, genuine argument. So if she says that she was raised in the feminist paradigm, went to university, she's 38 years old. So when would that have been if she was going to university? Let's say from 18 to 22, maybe up to 24. We're talking about what, 15 to 18 years ago? Okay, so we're talking 2008, 2009 maybe, and then she's traveling afterwards. Okay, and then she's a young person after that, probably on the job. You want to tell me it's believable that she has not seen in the last decade, since the time that she went to university and went on her traveling deal, millions and millions and millions of young ladies that are traveling all over the place, strong and empowered and independent, a good, healthy percentage of them, we don't know what, I'm even going to give the benefit of the doubt, I would say it's probably the majority that are living that type of lifestyle. But let's give the benefit of the doubt and say it's not even the majority, but we know there's a significant percentage because they talk about it and post it everywhere, especially in the red pill manosphere spaces, which she believes is just all incels, losers, right? Stupid men. She even at one point, I think, calls them heartless and animals. Can you get this? Can you get this? If you talk about the reality of what's going on today, because they will show you in the red pill spaces, the collages, right, the compilations of thousands upon thousands of thousands of these young women talking about how they're getting trains ran on them in Dubai. They're partying, doing DMT and Molly at raves in Phuket, Thailand, all over the place. You don't think there's a gang of hookups going on? You don't think that there's a gang? We see it. We don't have to think we know. Just open up your eyes, woman, and look anywhere. In Instagram, right, shorts, TikTok, right, of these girls completely, totally attention whoring constantly. This is what's going on with the so-called travel. And you want to equate that with women becoming anthropologists and archaeologists, and therefore dad mode in dark mode is a terrible bigot, because that's what he wants to stop, right? He wants to stop these serious, accomplished women from being able to travel to the pyramids, the better society, because women can't travel, because he's a sexist bigoted. That's the only extrapolation you can take for why you would say that. Unless you want to cop to you're just absolutely dumb or ignorant and can't make a logical argument in good faith, which I don't think you're going to cop to, and I don't think it's believable, because you seem to be pretty intelligent. You're just lying, and we can't do it anymore, and we're supposed to shut up and take it like you're not. No, you are. You know damn well that's not what he's saying. You can see what these women are doing, and you already have admitted yourself that living a feminist lifestyle as a young person wasn't something that really benefited you too well. And that's what I just described. Where do you think that is coming from, of these women going all over and attention, not using their fertile, young, energetic years, not to say that they can't ever take a trip, of course, that's absurd. I don't see anybody saying that at all. But that's not what they're doing. They are hyper prioritizing not just travel, but materialism, hookups, attention seeking, partying, all of this, hobbying, instead of putting at least a significant percentage of their effort into saying, hey, maybe I should try to find a man. Maybe I should try to develop qualities inside myself that are conducive to that life goal. You know this very well. I know that you know this, but you're going to pretend like that you don't. And it's just that dad mode and dark mode here is trying to control you as a terrible misogynist, saying that you can't travel because it's just feminists that travel, that there's no correlation of the behaviors that go along with these activities. You know, miss me with that. It's girl, this is pathetic. You're insulting our, and this is why I'll say you're a hardcore feminist. Because you want to talk to logical men as though we're retarded children, as though we can't see what's going on. Okay, and I'm just starting.
Those people have to travel the world. And also, I will point out later an example of the pot calling the kettle black, because our friend right here, dad mode in dark mode, scratches himself and he has tattoos on his arm. That's what I don't understand is like, what's your motive here for calling this out in me? Here's what I think. There's so much projection happening in this video, and I can see that he is struggling so much with the direction that his life has taken because he also doesn't fit this path that he thinks is the right path. Like that women should get married and have children and families should stay together, because he's a single dad and he has his tattoos. So like, just as much as you're criticizing my decisions and where I'm at.
Okay, so there you go once again. This is just chock full. We're just in the first one here. This is just chock full of obvious contradictions and gaslighting, her contradicting herself. And it's going to get more and more rich because she's going to keep on doubling down on positions that she says she holds and then immediately say the exact opposite of it. And if we say, hey, maybe that's the point, Caitlin. That's definitely the point right here. The point is to identify that and say, no, you're completely insulting us. You're not being genuine. And we're supposed to engage in this as though it's some kind of serious discourse. It is not. It is insanity, woman. And I'm saying that with total respect. We got to call a spade a spade. This is insanity, complete total insanity. Okay, so you're equating him to you, that this is projection on his part, that he's dissatisfied, that she just said that women should get married and had kids. Well, to my understanding, I don't know if he legally got married, but he was with a woman and had kids with her, so he did that. Now, if you actually knew about feminism, because you critique it so much according to you, you would know that 70% plus of women are the initiators of the divorces or separation. So odds are she probably left him. It wasn't him leaving her. So that wasn't his choice to do that, like it's been 100% your choice to stay childless and to be in no relationship. And this is what he's talking about. So it's not apples to apples in any way, shape, or form. It's complete total polar opposites. And you even cop to at least once, maybe more than once, as we're going to get to, that you know and you embrace that men and women are different. They're not equal. They're not the same. But now you're equating his position, because he's a single dad with kids, to your position when you don't even have kids. How does that make any sense at all? It doesn't. And I'm very sure that if we were to have this conversation, you wouldn't, because I've been through this so many times, you see the exact same patterns of behavior, that you still would just start babbling about something else instead of just saying, geez, show a little bit of humility and say, geez, maybe you have a point. Maybe I need to think about that. That's all I'd be asking. You don't even need to concede that I'm right or that I won. Could you just concede that you're not thinking clearly at all? Because you're not.
You are criticizing yourself. Anyways, let's keep moving on.
I'm not even gonna lie, I am kind of scared to...
Okay, we're going to the next one. That's all we wanted to cover there. Now it's going to start to really get rich. Let's go.
Saying asshole things like the comments of your video. If you go and look at that comment section, that's exactly what I'm trying to avoid. Not having a normal adult mature discourse. I am happy to talk about things. Yes, it's normal for anyone to not want to be ganged up on and abused.
Okay, so here she's addressing about him not giving out her address and that or her website, because he didn't want his subscribers going into her comment section. And then she had actually said, she had asked that, please be sensitive about this, be nice in the comments, etc. So that's when she says, oh yeah, because I didn't want what happened on your page where everybody piles on and attacks me, but they need to have an adult, there you go, an adult, rational, mature conversation. Well, as I've already pointed out, you're not willing to do that at all. You want to gaslight us, lie, contradict right to our faces, and tone police, and tell us what's acceptable and what's not acceptable to say. So that's just complete, total BS. I've already destroyed that narrative completely. But let's go and look at these comments and see that these are the terrible, brutal attacks. And you're going to see, as I said, this is a men's space of men talking about them. Sure, this is the deal. They're not flattering comments, a lot of them, towards her. Are they attacks? Let me tell you what an attack would be, Caitlin. Okay? Let's take a look at these here. And attacks are, hey, guys, people are trying to dox me, or already doxed me. All kinds of his subscribers have gone to my other business ventures, the links that I have on my website, and are leaving negative reviews to try to ruin me. They found my phone number, are making prank calls and giving me death threats. The people have found my home address and are driving by and yelling, threatening things at me. These are attacks. These are not attacks. There's nobody in here. Look at them. Now, he did say, Dad Mode and Dark Mode had said in his last reaction to this, which I don't even think he needed to do. He kind of went halfway. First he said, I try to clean up, any nasty comments in there, but I can't get to them all. I don't know. Maybe there were a bunch here. I saw this video when it first came out, probably an hour or 2 hours after it came out. And I'll always go straight to the comments very quickly. I just didn't see them. The same comments that I see here, maybe he got to them already, but even if he did, as he went on to say, so what? It's his comment section. It's an open forum to the public. You're on the internet, girl, and here we go. These women expose themselves to general public discourse, which 50% of the public out there are males. More and more of them are red pill aware, okay, and are calling this BS out like I am, all right, and then they see it, they get completely triggered because they've never been challenged their whole life. They've had all of these programs since day one. Their mothers had them. Their grandmothers had them, of basically telling men to eat shit and die, shut up, you can't speak about this, you can't have a different take. And so when men on the, you say, no, we're not playing that anymore. That's all they say. We're not playing that anymore. Here we go. They completely melt down and say they're being attacked. You need to shut up, just like they're doing in the UK, where they're now fining men. They've got undercover women out there running in spandex, trying to taunt men to catcall them, and they're giving them fines. Just like they wanted to put people in prison or fine them in Canada for misgendering people. Who's doing this all? Feminist totalitarianism. This is the exact same behavior that's going on over here. I'm being attacked because people had a difference of opinion. Stop it. No, you're not. We're going to have hard, real conversations that are going to be very uncomfortable. People are going to get offended to get the hell out of this mess. And if you ladies don't want to be on board on it, then you need to step aside, because it's going to get done. So look at these. Man build fence to keep in the wolves. To keep the wolves out, wife is convinced the walls are to keep her in. She breaks down the fence, both die. Okay, septum ring says it all. She's too selfish to be a good parent. She is her own top priority. Where are the comments? Feel free, anybody watching this video, to go to these comments and find me the ones that said, she needs to be deleted. I wish she would delete herself. She's the worst human that has ever lived. They say, oh, well, she doesn't seem to be too happy. She seems to be gaslighting people. There's a lot of comments about the septum ring. And I'm telling you, sorry, it's confirmed. I just haven't known one. As I said before, I'm over 55 years old. I've met dozens and dozens and dozens of these women that fit the profile with the septum rings, etc. They all have the same modus operandi, where they want to tone police you, they want to condescend you, they want to gaslight you, they want to set the parameters of ridiculous conversations. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, me, selfish. That's what I hear and see. Game over. So where's the attack? They can't have a different opinion? That's not flattering of you? I'm sure there are, I know with this reaction right here, there is going to be a tsunami. Millions and millions of people. So what? Am I going to say that I'm being attacked? Now, I will say if I'm being attacked, if things happen to me like I just described. People are trying to dox me, actually do me physical damage, do me reputational damage, then yes, I'm being attacked. If people are putting comments, calling me names or something, then they're not even doing that. Like I said, where is it saying, oh, she's a dirty 304. She's a dirty sloot, right? She's a terrible person. Look at them. No, just wait another 10 years. Not going to lie, she looks at least 48. Guess the Disney Princess programming turned out to be a lie. At least she can enjoy another 40 years or so-and-so of experiences. Okay? But another word on this too. Let's play the devil's advocate again and say that these are terrible attacks and these are, bitter, red pill, incel men. Maybe, Caitlin, if that's the case, there could be a reason for it. Or is it the feminist position that men are just inherently toxic, like feminism teaches? Like if you're going to go with the mainstream accepted feminist narrative, like I've already covered, that for all of history, men were innately just these terrible oppressors that were conspiring with the patriarchy to put their boots on the necks of their sisters, their mothers, their wives, their daughters. But a few decades ago, women rose up and they put a stop to that. So if women aren't putting a stop to men's innate, disgusting behavior, because of course they would have to be animals to do that, then they're going to revert back, the men are going to revert back to being their disgusting animal selves. So, I mean, what other extrapolation can you take from that? That women are morally superior, men are inherently defective. And that's the extrapolation, and she's going to go on. You're going to hear where she talks about these men having a different of saying that they are losers, animalistic, going back here to the men that are in these comments. And there are a couple of women that comment in here. Dad Mode and Dark Mode said that he has 11% female subscribers that often email him and support and what he's doing. And you're seeing more and more females that I'm going to cover here as well, too, that are getting into the men's spaces, the red pill spaces, making a lot of comment, saying the exact same thing about this neurotic, entitled female behavior that is all over the place, that's ruining everything. Okay. There was something else I wanted to say on that, but as you know, I think we get the picture, right? Where are the attacks? Oh, that's where I was, where I didn't finish it. So let's say that these are, terrible incel men, okay, that are just, with the worst opinions that are attacking her. If she is so critical, if Caitlin is so critical here about feminism, certainly she has to be hyperly aware, right? She says that she calls those people out, I believe, right? She's very critical of that agenda. So she has to be hyperly aware and probably have read, Warren Farrell's work, on men and boys, and read Helen Smith, Men on Strike, that came out in 2012. She's still giving interviews about the systematic, organized, virulent, you want to talk about attacks, Caitlin. It's men that have been attacked en masse legally, real attacks by the hundreds or thousands, in the millions now, since the 70s and 80s, through the family court system, the no-fault divorce system, through false accusations, through female feminist-dominated academia and HR departments. I wonder what her opinion would be if she even knows about the Dear Colleague letter that came from the Obama administration in 2011 that suspended due process for men charged with or having claims put against them of SA or harassment, and how hundreds and hundreds, maybe even the thousands by now, don't really know unless you really look into it and see the people that have done the work, because it's all just being clandestinely done. It's very reminiscent of when you get leftist Marxists, which feminism is, most definitely, paradigms into power, how they have all these secret, kind of canceling covert programs just to undermine and make certain of the quote-unquote disagreeables disappear, like they would do with the NKVD back in the Soviet system, or the KGB, or the Stasi in East Germany. This is what they've been doing over here, like the human rights tribunals in Canada, okay, where you don't know who your accuser is, you don't even know what the accusation is. It's printed in the press across the country. So-and-so has an investigation open up against them for human rights abuses at so-and-so school, so-and-so job. And for many, many people, that means now you're persona non grata. Many times you're going to lose your job. And time again, this investigation, this inquiry, I think is better called a witch hunt, can go on for months, maybe even years, and at the end of it, oh, we found the claims to be unfounded. Meanwhile, the damage is done completely. They completely have destroyed your livelihood, your reputation, made you stressed as hell. Many times you have to then take out a lawyer. This happened to Jordan Peterson. You can look at him explaining that. Absolutely ridiculous. It's all the same deal. It's all the complete total same deal. Okay? But going back to attacks and actually what's going on. Who is actually being attacked? Do you have any idea, Caitlin, of what has happened through the family court system and the reputation assassination against men and the literal assassinations that are happening against men a lot of times at their own hand? When and these, if you actually would be a bit balanced and look into these things about these men that are maybe commenting, and how do you even know that they're incels and losers because they put in a one sentence comment about the nose ring? I can tell you what, take it for what it's worth. I mean, she said it many times in this video. If you just knew me, I'm actually like this. Okay, so if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. I'll say the same thing. I'm actually like this if you just know me. I've had zero problem attracting women my whole life. I've been successful. I've been a successful manager, well accomplished in my career, well traveled, debt free, house paid, car paid, investments, money in the bank. Don't fit the profile of an incel, a loser, antisocial. Can defend myself very adequately in any type of debate or discussion. And I've made many comments like this before as well. But from that, because they said something about the nose ring or something about maybe they think you're selfish. Sorry, I'm in the wrong comments there anyway. These are the comments. You know you can't determine any of that. You know you don't want to determine any of that. You just want to do exactly what I'm talking about. Attack men. Those are the attacks. All the things that you'll continue to say about them being effing stupid, effing retarded, losers. I don't see anybody saying any of that. Show me where it is. Ain't no wonder that this girl is single. No, I would say that that is virulently truthful as exhibited by your behavior and this is a comment on your video. On your video. Nose ring theory is undefeated. Are you given the same energy to the comments on your video? So we can see, obviously, you're completely and totally disingenuous. Absolutely, to the point of where it's insulting. Completely and totally insulting. And a final word on who's really being attacked. Meanwhile, once again, if you actually knew about feminism and the paradigm, the real paradigm that's happening between men and women today, meanwhile, where men are being disenfranchised, like in the thousands upon thousands, it has to be in the tens of thousands of cases by now. If you would actually go into the red pill spaces and read the real accounts, see the real interviews of being sat down, there are an infinite, a countless number that you can easily access, that you can verify with receipts of such things as men one day coming home, they're locked out with a restraining order. They have been accused by their wife and served for divorce papers because she feels threatened. No police report, no evidence that they even said anything or did anything. He can't even go back into his own house to get his underwear for the night. Automatically, a restraining order against him, can't even see his own kids. Many times it'll take him 6 months or a year to go through that, to have an investigation, got to get a lawyer, costs him a ton of money. Sometimes this goes public right away, causes him to lose his job. He's now living in his car. This culminates then with her getting half or more of everything, putting him on a ridiculous child support, which often ends up with these guys eating a bullet. And that's why the suicide rates after divorces or separations or incidents like this go to 9 times that of females. Do you have any energy for that at all, Caitlin, when you want to talk about attacks and who really has it bad here? Is a little poor OU because people said some things about your nose ring on the internet? Are we supposed to actually entertain that as a good faith argument? And you want to have an actual mature and adult discussion? It's very obvious that you don't in any way, shape, or form. And meanwhile, what's happening for women? Once again, countless initiatives and programs such as WIC, right? Women, infants, and children, discounts on all kinds of things in the store, housing vouchers, small business loans just for women, scholarships just for women, grants just for women, media glowing presentations and depictions starting from cartoons all the way to adulthood. Are you even aware of such things as Paul Nathenson's work on analyzing commercials, where he analyzed over 200 commercials that had depictions of dynamics of interactions of husbands and wives with kids and fathers, and I believe he only found 4 or 5 positive depictions of fathers in those. You can just turn on the TV and watch this for yourself. That it's constant demeaning, he's a bumbling Homer Simpson, and meanwhile we've got movie after movie, rom-com after rom-com, of the guy just tripping all over himself. She's going around and hooking up with everybody everywhere, but he's still groveling to her. You want me to name them? Notting Hill, The Notebook, 4 Weddings and a Funeral, The Titanic. We can go on and on and on. What's it called? When something about Polly, Along Came Polly, was that it? There's no end to it. It's in your face everywhere. Everywhere. And yet we're supposed to take this and feel for you that you're being virulently attacked while this is the true state of affairs of who is really getting the raw end of the deal between men and women. Get the F out of here with that, okay? Just get out of here. This is absurd. Well, we're not playing anymore.
With the reality of what's happening.
Yeah, kind of like you and all of the men in your comment section, right? It feels safer to be in that echo chamber of all these bitter, angry manosphere men, incels, these like red-pilled guys, than to sit with the reality of your situation, which is that you are a single father with tattoos that maybe you regret.
When she drops the line.
So there you go, right? Once again, she coming back to this again, which I've already completely destroyed. Yeah, but how do you know that he regrets it? You don't have. You're just completely. You're the one that's projecting. Because you were the one that made the video. That I don't recall. I don't think you actually said that you regret. But any rational person looking at the way you come across, where you almost come to tears, etc., could say, "Yeah, she probably does. Maybe she does." That is a totally logical conclusion to come to. Okay, and then you say, "Well, it's comfortable to him to be in his echo chamber." Let's take a look here. Is he? I don't see him even responding to anybody here. And I do believe he puts out an invite in his follow-up there to have a discussion with her. Let's see if she takes it up. Because I would say he doesn't want to be in his echo chamber. That is far more. You're just making this all up, girl. This is what y'all do the time. You make up this delusional reality, then want to project it onto us all. Right? Want to project it into us all that this is how we need to behave. This is not reality. This is absurd. But you say that these are all of these incel losers in the manosphere. Okay, so here we go. These are red pill creators. I want you to go to their channels. You tell me. Now, of course, you're going to say, because I've become quite convinced that you women believe that what is happening is actually what happened in feminism, what continues to happen. Okay, not the other way around. That you actually believe, it seems, whether you are aware of it or not, that there is some kind of George Soros-like figure out there that is funding all of these men to make red pill content, to lie about women, to defame women, to be mean to women, and then all these men listen to it, get captivated by it, get brainwashed, and then they end up in these comment sections. That is completely, totally delusional. That is not what's happening in any way, shape, or form. What is happening is what I've already been explaining. There has been a virulently anti-male, hateful system attacking men now for a few generations, disenfranchising them. Men after man after man after man know of men all around them that are eating bullets by their own hand, that are getting falsely accused. It's happened to me several times throughout my career, even though I've never done a damn thing wrong. Luckily, because of my good behavior, nothing has ever been able to stick, although it has costed me jobs unfairly. There's been at least one where I just picked up and walked away. There was another one where Actually, the accuser was investigated and lost her job. Okay, why? Because I'm uncompromising and speak like this. And so this is their primary weapon to use against men. So, lost my train of thought. Where was I? Talking about the red pill creators. Oh, I know where I was. This has been the reality of what men have been. This is what birthed the manosphere, the red pill creation of realizing, wait a minute, we're being told that we've been the oppressors, that we've been the aggressors. It's not the case at all. And then they start comparing stories. Then they start looking at the laws. They start looking into no-fault divorce. They become aware of things like the Duluth Wheel of Power that came out of the Duluth Conference in Minnesota. Are you familiar with that, Caitlin? Because if you're not, you haven't looked into the feminist power structure in any way, shape, or form. You don't know anything about it. That is like, anti-feminism 101 of getting educated on the dynamic of the reality of what's actually going on. So the creators actually are all red pill guys that became red pilled and then they became creators. And if you would actually go in and actually look at, not just in videos like this where people are making, one sentence, few word comments of basically kind of trolling or maybe having fun about the nose ring or so-and-so is selfish or whatever it may be. But they actually have discussions in forums. They put detailed comments. You can see the interviews once again. You can just go out in the real world, Caitlin, and actually talk to men. What about that? What do you think about that? Like I have time and time again. Like almost every man has. That every man today, myself included, every man that I know knows several men, friends, fathers, brothers, sons that have been wrecked through this paradigm that I'm talking about. And they are swearing off completely. So maybe, yeah, some of them, in all actuality, I would say with the amount of abuse that has been happening against men, this is astonishing that they are as well behaved and well comported as they are still. It really shows the character of men and how honorable in general that they are. That there's not a hell of a lot more reactions and comments of like the one that I'm making here, which I will stand by 10 toes down till the day I die. That is not in bad faith. That is not attacking. It's passionate defense of the truth. And if it hurts your fifis, so what? Sorry. Get off the internet. Don't react. Don't listen. Period. And I can tell you, I'm going to have, as I always have, when I make this type of content and have these discussions, the vast, vast majority of men and a lot of women, although they keep their mouths shut for the most part, because if they break the sisterhead, they're going to get virulently attacked by people like you that are going to agree with me about my takes here because they are the truth of what's going on. So anyway, you want to say that these guys are all incel losers, right? Terrible people, subhumans, animalistic. Go to the channels, come back. Let's take a look at them one by one. And you tell me by listening to the content, looking at these guys, you may not agree with them. You may not like their takes. There's some of them here that I'm going to that I don't like their takes very much. Some of them, it's just sometimes. Some of them, it's a lot of time. But I wouldn't qualify them in any way, shape, or form as being incel losers. It's laughable. It's infantile. It's a child's, it's just name calling. As though these are doo-doo heads. That we want to bring the conversation down to like being 6 years old. So here we go. Strong, successful male. Check out his channel. Find out something about him. Tell me that this is an incel that can't get no women. That's a loser. Manosphere channel. Romanian guy. Long-term girlfriend. That I know for a fact. Dapper Dev. Check him out. Tell me he's just a Cheeto-eating loser. Living in his basement. Like a hoarder. Doesn't have a job. Go ahead. Tell me, girl. Chisa Zed. African heritage. Lives in Los Angeles. Over 400,000 subscribers. Makes excellent content. Christian and married. Promotes marriage. Ask an older man. Black guy, I believe he's from the Caribbean originally, judging by his accent. Lives in Dubai. Over 250,000 subscribers. Written at least 2 books. Married, 19-year-old daughter. Does that fit your profile of loser incel men? Andrew Tate. Very controversial. Tate sometimes got some real cringe aspects about him. Well, I wouldn't say sometimes. certain things about him are just cringe, for me anyway. The hyper-materialism, the constant boasting, etc. But really, as being that the guy, he claims he's a billionaire. I don't know if it's true. He's at least a multimillionaire. Okay, was a fighter, pretty accomplished fighter. That's debatable, but he did at least fight and have a lot of fights professionally for many years. Played chess at a very high level. Pretty accomplished guy. Whether you like him or not, or he's your cup of tea, I don't think he's an incel loser in any way, shape, or form. We'll say the same for Byron Gaines. We'll say the same for Rich Cooper. We'll say the same for the Cheek Slayer, young Asian guy, makes excellent content, funny as hell. Men need to be heard. Dan that runs that channel. Tell me that he's a loser, that never accomplished anything his whole life, that is just out there bitter. Alexander Graves, very bright, young Australian guy, over 400,000 subscribers. All of them are doing a little bit better than you too, I'd like to point out. Even though, as it says on your channel, you have like 90% male subscribers. Well, how well are they doing for you? Where, I don't know. Proof is in the pudding. It's in the results. You tell me. Darius M. I believe Darius is at about 500,000 subscribers. Been around for quite some time. Young, good-looking black guy. No Fugazi podcast. Brian Atlas of whatever. Andrew Wilson. Orthodox Christian. Married for over 20 years. Has kids. Incel loser. Gets invited on shows like Piers Morgan to give his takes. Whether you like him or not, or whether you agree with him, is that an unaccomplished incel loser? Anton Daniels, multimillionaire black man out of Detroit. I think married for over 20 years. I think he's got grown kids. Kerry Joe Jr., Better Bachelor, Warren Farrell. Let's go on to the women. Rachel Wilson, Janice Fiamingo, Emily King. Go and look them all up, girl. Go and look them up and see the way they present and the arguments they put out and the examples that they give, talking about real things like the laws, the policies, the cases that have happened, as compared to your presentation and what really backs it up, and how the way you present yourself. Cassie J, Aaron Pizzi. Let's stop right there at Aaron Pizzi. Are you even familiar with Aaron Pizzi? Because if you're not, you haven't looked into feminism at all. At all. And you would serve yourself a good one. A real service to yourself. To really look into the red pill spaces and get educated on actually what is going on. Especially through anti-feminism, which is what many of these women are. That's how they qualify themselves, as anti-feminists. Aaron Pizzi, I'm going to assume that you don't know because most people don't. She opened up the world's first domestic violence shelter for women, I believe it was in 1971, in the United Kingdom. Within 1 year or so, maybe a little bit longer, she was shocked at what she was observing. That the women, the vast majority, were at least as violent, if not more violent, and even towards their own children, than the men were. Because she had accepted the feminist narrative that it was men that were just inherently violent, they were the predators, etc. They often had mental disorders, substance abuse problems, etc. So she began to, I believe, write about this, or at least talk about this, in feminist circles. She was an ardent feminist. She was so virulently attacked and canceled that she had to go in hiding for her life. They were trying to kill her. You can look it up, the actual details, very easy to find. I don't know if I have them all right. I don't know if they actually put a bomb in her place or they were just bomb threats. I do believe I'm correct that they actually succeeded in killing at least one of her dogs. And she was successfully banned. To this day, she's still alive and in her 80s, to my understanding, and still gives interviews, from setting foot in her own domestic violence shelter. This is how nuts feminism is and how hardened they are against the truth. And to why people like you and so many others believe in absolute BS and think that they're anti-feminist, etc., when they're actually anything but. It's understandable. That's why I'm doing this service over here. I get it. I used to believe it too. But enough is enough. And there should be no excuse anymore because all of the information is out there. But if you just want to name call people like a little spoiled girl and not actually look at the information that they present because your fifis get all offended because somebody said something about your nose ring, then we can't have any rational discussion. You're in the real world, you're on the internet. If you don't want to so-called get attacked, Caitlin, how about this? Don't read the comments. Is that too hard to do? Or are they running down the lines through the optical fibers here and jumping off your computer screen and hitting you in the face? Come on. Come on. We're going to have to grow up here if we're going to have any type of reasonable discourse. Or don't have the discourse. But we're the ones that are going to set the tone. It's not going to be y'all. Okay, so that's Erin Pizzi. Look into her. Erin Pizzi, I saw her probably a year or two ago giving an interview where she said, this is absolutely astonishing that we've never seen anything like this in history, with the women turning on their men as such. That is the attack. That is what's going on. Diana Davison. Diana Davison she's an anti-feminist activist in Canada that runs a nonprofit, I believe it's called the Lighthouse Foundation, that specifically dedicates itself to accusing or to defending men that are falsely accused in Canada. The last I saw of her, the cases were in the hundreds. They have a massive backlog. They can't even get to them fast enough. The situation is completely dire. It's off the charts. Christine Grace Smith. Helen Smith, I already mentioned, who wrote the book over 12 years ago. What is it? The War on Men? Men on Strike. That's what it was. Hannah Spear. Hannah Spear is fantastic. She's recently just become an anti-feminist. She's a medical doctor. I believe she's German, that does excellent, excellent work from a psychoanalytical position on all of the pathologies that are affecting women and their neurotic behavior today. I think it would really do you well to watch her. So are all these women, and there's many, many more. This is just a small sample here. I could turn this into hours of listing and talking about content and creators and what they present. Are they incel losers as well? Because they're saying the exact same thing that the women are. Oh, Jedediah Bila. There's another one. You're going to say later on, and I'm going to cover it, about how offended you were about how some guy you dated was listening to content that said the worst and nastiest things about women and porn, etc. I'd love to hear those qualified, because I hear this time and time again. And without exception, every time when I look into it, the characterization is completely dead wrong. It's almost always the exact opposite. All they're doing is talking about the truth. But you find it so offensive to your sensibilities because you don't want to talk about the truth. Because the truth these days is extremely ugly. There's no doubt about it. Jedediah Bila, you want to talk about the way you think these comments are bad, that they're attacking you, etc.? Go and listen to her. Go and listen to her. And she's not some nobody. She was a mainstream journalist, worked for Fox News. She's married, has a child. She was a feminist younger, but she's realized that it was complete total bunk, and now she's working, really calling out. Not like you claim to do, which I don't think that you are at all if I really look in your channel, because it wouldn't be evident by the way you're acting here at all that you're actually calling out this leftist agenda. And she, on a daily basis sometimes, is over there calling these women the worst hoes, the worst sleuths, low character, nasty. They're just nasty and filthy, is what she says about them all the time, reacting to the videos that they make by the thousands on a daily basis. The words that come out of their own mouths. Look into it. Another challenge. I'd love to hear what you think. Let's have a discussion about it if you're open to having discussions. I'm dead serious on that. Let's see if you can do it. See if you can put your money where your mouth is.
And that they kind of don't want to have kids. That kind of that she leads with it's doing.
Okay, let's get into the next one. She's going to talk about feelings. Oh, before we do, here's a small example of some of the women that are out there. She wasn't on my list. I don't know who this woman is. I just see her featured in collages like on this channel over here. But what she's saying, a lot of women are saying. A lot of women. Coming from women, not incel losers. A lot of the women are married, happy, with kids, that are finally saying enough is enough as well. We can see what it's doing. This is very unfair. And it's not unfair to women. It's unfair to men.
Types of women that think Cheesecake Factory is below them when they cannot even afford Cheesecake Factory for themselves. These are the women that are going to complain that he didn't pay her rent or her cell phone bill after a month of dating. Like, y'all don't even know each other and you have your hand out like you're freaking panhandling. I am so tired of these women having this sense of entitlement that they are expected to be given everything and give nothing in return. You don't want to cook, you don't want to clean, you don't want to take care of a household, you don't want to take care of a man, you don't want to do anything but exist, And most of y'all are lazy, mean, rude, and selfish. And I don't understand why any man would want to put up with that. And I'm talking about modern day society, and I don't know who told y'all that it was acceptable to treat men like shit, but still have your hand out and expect him to pay your way. He's not your father. Dating and the OnlyFans and everything, it all has become just one big legal escort service, and women are proud to do it. But the minute that a man sexualizes a woman, now it's a problem, even though women have no problem sexualizing themselves. Like, make it make sense. It's just absolutely crazy to me. Okay, bye.
Well, that's about 90% of women nowadays.
There you go. There you go. Now, of course, at the very end there, the claim that it's 90% women do it. I wouldn't. This is the impression that men have of women. That seems to be a complete, total mystery to you, confounding, or probably, almost assuredly, it's because we're swimming in misogyny. Has nothing to do with the behavior like this young lady just described. Does it, Caitlin? Nothing at all. Yeah, good luck with that. We're way past that, Caitlin. Let's get on to the next point.
Something. Not knowing exactly how they feel about something. Having feelings change. You're not a woman, so I don't really expect you to understand. And I'm not saying that as an insult. I'm saying I really don't expect you to understand how strong and nuanced and complex our emotional landscape can be. And it's not just so cut and dry and black and white. Nothing is. So these things do oscillate and fluctuate and change and evolve.
So there you go, vintage talking point. What's the insinuation, of course? You're not a woman, so you wouldn't understand how nuanced, oscillating fluctuation our emotional landscape can be. No, we do get it. Men have got it for all of history. That's why they kept you out of power. And you want to paint it as though this is a great selling point, a great strength. It's not. How's that work when you're going to save people out of a burning building? How's that going to work when you need to be concentrated for months at a time, maybe designing a skyscraper? We could go on and on and on. It can add all of those, all of that, cornucopia, kaleidoscope of emotions. Can add some great richness to a home environment with children and caring and nurturing. Okay, but introducing this into rational discussions is a massive L, Caitlin. It's a total fail. Okay, this isn't any kind of own. This isn't any kind of legitimate rebuttal. And the strong insinuation is, even though you don't say it, is you wouldn't be able to understand. Of course, you had to put in the caveat there. It's not any kind of, what did you say, an insult or a slight. All right? But you don't get that how nuanced it is and oscillating. I mean, listen to yourself. What was said for ever and ever and ever? You can look into texts all across the world about how women's emotions change with the wind. About the tendency for women to potentially be traitors if they're not very careful. How many of them would immediately shack up with, like they did in France with German soldiers? And then when the war was over, they had hundreds or thousands of them that were paraded in the streets, stripped naked and tarred and feathered and had their heads shaved. Because of that. That is the depth of oscillating emotions that you're promoting as we're supposed to say, oh yeah, you're so bad. In other words, you wouldn't get it because what? Because you're a man. Yeah, you guys you're not as complex as we are. You can't feel it. You can't. This is feminism. That's what feminism is. Supremacy. Talking down, you're not going to get it. Well, no, we do get it. That's why we have the positions that we have. That's why he is extrapolating different things than what you wanted to present or what you think that you're presenting. Because we are not that way like you are. And we weren't made to be that way, and we shouldn't be that way. Period. It's just a total L. It's a total fail. It's so tired. We've been hearing this now for decades, and we're supposed to be going along and putting our stamp. And this is why you have 90% male subscribers, you say, on your channel as like another own. Because it's these effeminized, supplicating, groveling men that are totally thirsty that will get on and be like, yes, you're so complex and new. It's just, it's pathetic. It's BS. Because this has been the results for masses of men. And this is why you're so shocked when you come across comment sections like is on this men's channel over here. Because now there's more and more men for the first time in decades are saying, no, we can see what's going on here. We're not going to be over here pumping you up, telling you that this nonsense, this childish name-calling bullshit is some kind of legitimate discussion or argument. These are the facts of actually what's going on. That's the point of the videos like the one he made to react to you. And you all are just completely dumbfounded. Because growing up, as you've said, with a feminist mother and all these other feminists around you, that's all you've seen is these beaten down, supplicating men, you know, oh, happy wife, happy life. Yeah, I kind of guess I deserve that she didn't have sex with me for 6 years, but you know, I'm just a man and I don't have the nuance of her feelings and this, that, the next thing. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. And then when a man talks like I'm talking, oh, it's misogyny. Well, miss me with that too, as like you would say. There is no misogyny or at any levels in the society at all, beyond serial killers, rapists, and literal bully habitual woman beaters. Okay, this society has been bending over backwards to facilitate, appreciate, uplift, and defend and not hold accountable women in every single sphere, as I've already described in detail, everywhere. Anybody that's using that word still needs to be clowned into non-existence. Okay, it's just another name calling to try to shut you up, like they try to do in Canada, as already described with Jordan Peterson and the transgendering thing, like they're trying to criminally put people in jail by taunting them, by running in spandex in the UK to get them to catcall them. The same totalitarian tactics. Not doing it, we're done with it.
But yeah, she really highlights.
And by the way, I just want to point out the fact that I know for a fact that people, like any retarded men and maybe he, are going to comment on the fact that I'm getting worked up.
See, there you go. You had to throw in another childish insult. Any retarded men. Oops.
And I'm getting reactive and emotional and blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm a woman and I'm this like enraged feminist woman. And I just want to call attention to that because I know it's going to happen. So I'm just going to do it for you right away. Yes, I'm getting worked up, but it's just because it's like the natural response. And actually, this is like the type of gaslighting that happens is that people will attack you. And then when you go to defend yourself and you're heated about it because you are defending yourself, it's like a natural response. Then they say, oh my God, look at you being crazy, being overly emotional, freaking out, being reactive. Like, yes, it's called self-defense.
Yeah.
There you go. That's, how can you even speak to it? The delusion. The complete, total separation from any type of reality. I've already shown you comments. You can go and listen to this video. People just have different takes. They're kind of trolling her. But she is being attacked, and she is self-defending herself. So I'll repeat it again. Where are the people trying to dox you? Where are the people going to your house? Where are the people leaving nasty comments on your blogs? Show me the receipts, and then I'll back you up. I would totally back you up if they were doing that. But even still, if you even let's even go further and play more of a devil's advocate. You put things out onto the internet, onto public forums. Well, you may get attacked by some crazies. But you want to paint it, of course, as just all these loser incels that are trying to gaslight. You're gaslighting us, girl, and you know it. Come on, stop it. Stop it. You are gaslighting all of us, projecting onto all of us. I wanted to play that so you could hear it from the horse's mouth there. This is self-defense. All the man did was make a video with a different take. You don't hear him calling her a retard or her followers retards. Right? Or pathetic losers, or animals, or heartless people. I think, non-humans? Incels? Don't hear any of that. She did all of that. That's the attacking. That is the attacking. It's astonishing. Let's get on to the next.
Didn't want to have that level of responsibility
This is important. Listen.
just yet. But again, I'm a dude, and the rules are different for dudes. They're different for us. And I wasn't a feminist. I was really into the simulation back then, just living it up.
Okay, so you're a dude, the rules are different for you. Fair enough. But you weren't a feminist. You were just like enjoying the stimulation, just living it up. What if I was just enjoying the stimulation and living it up? What if I'm not a feminist either? Which I'm not. That's exactly what I was doing, buddy. I was enjoying the stimulation and I was living it up. It's okay for you. It's not okay for me. This is where it starts to get into some pretty antiquated treatment of men versus women. It's like, I don't think that men and women are equal. I do not think they are equal. But to basically say that you're a man, so it's okay for you to enjoy stimulation and having experiences and living it up, and it's not okay for women to enjoy stimulation or to live it up. Women can't live it up. Women belong in the kitchen, just cooking and being like a servant. That's basically what you're saying. I want to be so clear. I am not a feminist, okay? I am not like anti-traditional families, whatever, but the way that you are framing this, like it's okay for men to have like experiences in life, and women, I would actually be really curious to hear from you what you think women are allowed to experience and what.
Okay, that was that was just gold. Complete total gold. Completely owned herself several times right there, completely oblivious to it. Okay, gaslit the hell out of everybody, contradicted the hell out of herself. Vintage feminist positions right there, while saying that she's not a feminist. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning here a little bit.
What they can do and have, and or to live it up. Women can't live it up. Women belong in the kitchen, just cooking and being like a servant. That's basically what you're saying. I want to be so clear. I am not a feminist.
Okay, where was the beginning? I think
it's okay for you. It's not okay for me. Okay, so you're a dude, the rules are different for you. Fair enough. But you weren't a feminist. You were just like
okay, so she's going back to the traveling thing and what they were doing in their youth. And I will say, I will give her this, that he did a very poor job of just saying, well, I'm a dude. Okay, and he didn't really extrapolate on that, so I'm going to. But she already knows this because she's already said it herself. So she's already said that she was a feminist and followed the feminist path, which is doing all that stuff of putting yourself first. Okay, now, if she is not a feminist and she's not anti-traditional like she says, and she's actually looked into these things and been informed on them, because you can't have any of those, you can't say those things if you don't know what they are. You would have to look into them. Or you're just ignorant, and so then you can't say you have one position or the other. So without a doubt, she would know. And once, it's not like she's 21. She's like 38 years old. She's obviously been in these discussions for quite some time. She would absolutely know, without a doubt, that there's been article after article written for years about how successful, high-earning professional women will not date down. So they call it a crisis of unmarriageable men. It's not because there's men out there that won't marry them. It's because they won't marry those men. Because if they make $150,000 a year, he's got to make $200,000 and $250,000 a year. If she would absolutely be able to see with her own eyes, and if she knows that men and women aren't equal, and therefore the attraction points are completely different, and the way that they live and go about things are completely different, that the vast majority of women, even if they claim to be feminists and equal, etc., still want a man that's taller than them, still want a man to be the primary breadwinner, still want a man to protect them, still want a man to pay for the first date, etc. So he's got to have a certain amount of character that takes time to develop and to build. And for that, he's got to go out into the world and get that done. I'm not even, rhetorically, you would have to concede that. And if you don't concede it, then you're not living in reality. These are the facts. They've always been that way. They will always be that way. It's hardcore biological programming. If you were to take the view and try to use the rebuttal of, well, that's just because of social programming, then you are a feminist. Without a doubt. That's what they say. That's Marxist. Marxist is that these are all social constructs. You can remake men and women into anything, which you've already on record of saying that you don't believe. So it's not that I'm superior as the way you're trying to paint it, that it's okay for him being a dude to go out and do these things, or you're just not permitted, and then you go into the disingenuous, position that you have to be a slave and just be in the kitchen. Who said that? Now, I will also say that in his follow-up reaction, when you get to that part, he has another big fail, an L, where he says, yeah, well, basically, I don't know how facetious he was trying to be, but I can show you, without a doubt, throughout red pill creators all over the place, especially if you look at the example of the female creators that I have named that are held in very high esteem, that are very accomplished, held in high esteem by the rest of the red pill community. Obviously, that is not a common position in any way, shape, or form. The contrary is the commonly held position, that women aren't just forced to be in the kitchen, that they can't go to travel just for traveling's sake because we want to control them. There you go with another feminist position that you have extrapolated on him by saying that it's different when he is young about the way he was living. And furthermore, he did get married and have kids. And he's 40 years old and you're 38 in almost the same time frame. You did it. So you're completely owning yourself with this, thinking that it's an own. Once again, we're in Delulu land completely. We can't entertain these conversations anymore, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's about it on this one. Let's see. We'll go on to the next. Got to wrap it
Enjoying
up.
the stimulation, just living it up. What if I was just enjoying the stimulation and living it up? What if I'm not a feminist either? Which I'm not. That's exactly what I was doing, buddy. I was enjoying the stimulation and I was living it up.
Yep, there you go, which I'm not. Well, that's what feminists do, and that's what you're still doing. And that's what your positions are here, right? If she just said, I don't think men and women are the same, men and women, I'm not a feminist, but then she says, well, I was just doing exactly what you were doing. So that doesn't make any sense. Because you would be doing different things if you knew that you had a different nature. Now, okay, you were a feminist back then, so you didn't know that, but then I wouldn't defend it. I mean, well, why wouldn't you just say, well, yeah, I bought feminism, so I was doing all kinds of things. You know, I was a liberal and a leftist when I was young. And I don't try to justify it at all. I said I was out of my mind. I was doing all kinds of things I shouldn't have been doing that really held me back for a lot of years. Period. End of story. Just show a little bit of humility. That's all it takes. A little bit of humility. So why couldn't you just say, well, yeah, I was doing all those things that men do. I shouldn't have been doing it. You know what? You got a point. You're right. That hard? It obviously is that hard. Can we can we connect the dot between that and the arrogance that is in the family court system of the examples that I've given already of, you know what, well, I just want this guy shit, so I'm just going to say he touched the kids, with zero empathy for him, how this is going to affect anybody else, the destruction it's going to cause on my family, society in general, the public discourse. Man, this situation is so intolerable. Let's get on to the next. Oh, one other point before we do. So talking about just a good example, once again, that we don't need to have a study for. Doesn't need to be my opinion, or anybody can verify this themselves. Okay? That men and women are different. And men having to go in about things in a certain way, women having to go about things in a certain way. We have an open door to the window to basically do our own studies just by getting on social media and observing all of the posts, all of the videos, all of the blogs, Reddit, etc., about what people are doing. She can do this right now. Have you not seen this tsunami of videos of women sitting in their cars, complaining about where have all the good men gone, crying about their breakups, their divorce, crying about how hard it is to live on their own, and they just can't do it at work anymore, etc. And show me anything even close to the same amount of videos of men crying and doing the same, complaining about these type of things. We all know the answer to that, right? Because we're completely, totally different. We go about things in a total different way. And if you do find men that are doing that, which I'm sure you will, there's millions of people that are making videos, they definitely won't be stoic men that have developed their masculinity, that have gone through adversity, trial and tribulation to build themselves up. And that's another big, big point. That when men go out and do it, that's what they're doing. Trial and tribulation, of course, it can overcome anybody, man or woman, if they're not properly mentored, if they don't approach it properly, etc. But by and large, as we can see, by publicly demonstrated with all the women breaking down, crying. I mean, just another one comes to mind. Go into Josh Prime channel. All he does is body cam videos from police. I've watched hundreds and hundreds of them. He's got thousands upon thousands. It is astonishing how many completely, totally deranged women that are attacking police on there. Way beyond what you see with the men. And he doesn't have it's not a gendered channel. He just picks what he thinks are going to be, some of the best videos to show. The arrogance and the entitlement from the women is just off the charts like you wouldn't believe. But that's another point. The point being is that we're seeing this now of them all going, it's your own story, Caitlin. Of you making these videos talking about when you were a feminist younger, now you got to this point, now you're not really prepared, right? And things haven't come out, although you like a lot of different aspects that have served you. Other ones didn't come out. Okay, well, as I said, I don't know exactly, but it's a pretty good conclusion that his old lady probably left him, the mother of his children. But he did get married and have kids when he went through that type of stuff. You didn't, and you know this. But you want to gaslight us and pretend like you don't. Not happening. We're going to call it out.
Are correlated with what I'm saying. I have high empathy. So it's very easy for me to do that, to like tap into that.
Okay, that's the whole reason I wanted to play that. It just keeps getting better and better. She's got high empathy, right? Okay, here's a comment by her, a reply on her channel. Somebody asked, are women ever losers? Because I noticed that tons of females have no problem calling men that they disagree with losers. There you go. That's exactly my whole point. That's exactly, if you could sum up her whole video, I'm going to call everybody losers that disagrees with me. But rarely do I hear men calling women losers, even though they exist. Now look at the vitriol and the complete disdain she has for men in general. Of course, unless they're simps in her comments section that flock to her, that agree with her, that are nice and gentle. In other words, that act like women. In other words, that are feminists. Because that's what feminism is about. To get everybody to think and act gynocentrically that doesn't offend their agenda. Yeah, they just call them other heinous things, she says. Okay, so let's qualify that. What are they calling them? Like Jedediah Bila does? That's a woman saying that they're complete 304s, that they're trash, right? That they've got nasty attitudes, that they're completely entitled. You don't see any of this behavior amongst masses and masses of women, like that other woman just described in the clip that I played. I actually do think far more men are losers. Women may be other things. Oh yeah, you can't call them losers, right? Could you call them false accusers? Because we're seeing a tsunami of that. I've got all the receipts if I collect them on hard drive, if you want to see them. Caitlin, you want to have a debate and discussion about that? You want to talk about Saifullah Khan? You want to talk about Mattress Girl? You want to talk about Trevor Bauer? Johnny Depp? Justin Baldoni? Brian Banks? I can go on forever. Literally forever. But there are more men that tend to be quite pathetic. There you go, right? Yeah, like the men that are about 100% male-dominated, that are keeping your power going, building your houses. Mm-hmm. So you want to focus on, just like she was all up in arms in the beginning, that how homeboy wouldn't focus on the parts of her video that he wouldn't agree with. But that wasn't the point. He's not there to, you've already got those in agreement. You're going to talk about the things that are contention. That's in human nature. Okay, you definitely don't want to focus about the good men that are overwhelmingly coming to save your life and pull you out of a burning building, right? Or go out on those fishing trawlers that's very dangerous to get you fed, or be on that farm equipment, or be on those excavators, or be down in the ditches, or be up on those roofs. Guaranteed, the number of jobless men living at their parents' house playing with video games and jerking off to porn while they alternate between a vape and a weed pen is far higher than the number of women doing the same. So you should put a lot of thought into that, right? To get nice and inventive to, smear these men as such. Well, yeah, sure. How about the women on that are doing sex work all over OnlyFans, on sugar daddy sites, refuse to work? How about them? How about the show Hoarders? You ever looked at that, and how many of them are women? Okay, how about the women that are participating in Munchausers by proxy? How about the women that are participating in infanticide and violent child abuse against children? Oh, I get, no, but they're not losers because they're being very productive, which I won't deny. They're being very productive for the feminist agenda. So I guess you would be on board with that. Because, yeah, you can definitely say that they're being, as somebody replies for which I wouldn't agree with, but it is kind of funny and kind of makes the point I'm going to make here. What's wrong with all that, though? Jobless, they're not a slave and don't subscribe to a system exploiting people at the bottom so the people at the top can have the time of their lives. Living at the parents' house, they clearly value their family and want to be close to support them again. Video games, harmless hobby, allowing one to support, etc., etc. Jerking off, releasing sexual energy. Yeah, there could be a lot, I mean, to play devil's advocate, there could be a lot worse things to be doing instead of being out there 304ing with all kinds of different men, taking affirmative action jobs, but getting on the Supreme Court where we're not even willing to identify what a man is. Those are really destructive things to society. Right? These men being losers and keeping to themselves and being so-called incels. Yeah, well, but remember, the words are absolute total violence, worse than anything, worse than the false accusations against men, right? Worse than participating in the destructive family court system. So, these men that might be on the video games that might come onto a forum and say something like, nose ring theory confirmed, that is far more destructive than any of the things that the feminist agenda is doing, according to Caitlin. That's the reality that we're supposed to get. So empathy, you've got great empathy. Yeah, maybe for feminists and for other supremacist women and for a bunch of simps. You definitely don't have any empathy for any stoic men or any truth seekers. That you've proven without a doubt with your behavior right here in this video, and definitely without a doubt with that comment. Definitely without a doubt.
It wasn't that important. Like, I will agree with that, but that's just like a cultural phenomenon.
If there's an exceptional
Okay, for some reason it cut out right there. I don't know what happened with that clip. What she said there she said that feminism was a cultural phenomenon. She said it was just a cultural phenomenon. Like that's a non sequitur. That's, what are you even saying there? It doesn't even make just this. When feminism comes up, that she embraced it, but it was just a no. Yeah, you obviously don't get this at all. That's why I say you're a feminist, because you don't even know what you're talking about, as revealed by a comment like that. It was just a simple cultural phenomenon. Like what? Like bell-bottom jeans? This is just absurd. No, it was a hardcore Marxist agenda. You could probably argue in the top three, or maybe the top most influential societal restructuring that has happened in the modern world over 150 years. How did that escape you, Caitlin? If you want to have these discussions and these debates, and you're so you so ardently deny that you're not a feminist, that you support traditional roles, etc., etc. It's just nonsense. And you ladies have to be called out for it.
Forever. I haven't been in a relationship in years, and it's not for lack.
Okay, these last two, she's going to talk about her personal relationships experience. This is gold.
Of trying. Like, I date people. There's just a bunch of fucking losers out there. Okay? That's the problem.
Okay, there you go. So at 38 years old, you've gone through all. You obviously like simps that are all over in your comments that tell you like what you want to hear. Okay? And by and large, guys that are constantly supplicating to women but aren't on their task, like the red pill says, they're not going to be attractive to you. We've seen that time and time again. Those are a bunch of fucking losers. Those are you're attracting. And if you go into the red pill and you listen to guys like me, and you just look at the reality around you, once again, going back to like the videos of what have happened, all these women asking, where have all the good men gone? Mainstream news articles written about this. Well, the men are checking out in mass. 60% of men of, average dating age, like 45 to 21, are not looking to date at all, ever again, and especially not marry. Okay? MGTOW exploding, men going their own way. Of course, to you, they're all just misogynists, incels, guys that can't get it, losers, that's why they can't get a woman. Well, I think I've already said it in this video, that's never been me, and it doesn't even make sense when you think about it. Because as I've said, even though you won't be convinced, I'm sure, you'll probably just stick to your guns no matter what anybody says, and this is the problem. That's why we can't get anywhere. These men aren't becoming red-pilled because of some top-down nefarious brainwashing program that that comes upon them. They are getting red pilled because they run into the reality of the way men are being treated. And I personally have known more than I can count. I've got a good friend who is a commercial banker, long-term, as a commercial banker. He's dealing in millions of dollars that he's lending. He's giving me story after story over the years. I can confirm in real time, men that are worth millions of dollars, 20 years married, 25 years married. All of a sudden she wants to cash out, puts the kids against him. He's blindsided. Guess where he ends up? In red pill content. And then he starts to realize, damn, if I would have known this shit then, I would have got my stuff in a trust. I wouldn't have let her run ragged. I wouldn't let her gaslight me all this time. I wouldn't let her talk crap about me to the kids like I did, thinking that I was being tolerant and understanding because you women have had it so bad and everything is so misogynistic. That's the point. That's how it's going on. Okay, so, all of these losers, once again, that you are coming across, and look, I'll give you some benefit of the doubt as well, too, that, there is a problem out there, but, and I tell these guys all the time, you guys need to do better and get it together. But once again, for the amount of negative messaging that men get, and you also, you say it like this, but where is the humility or the self-accountability that you could maybe say, you know what, it's real hard for me now because I'm 38, and by my age, you're probably not going to date a guy very much younger than you, and probably tend to guys older than you, because that is the tendency that are going to be more accomplished or at least as accomplished as you. Okay, and the vast majority of them, if they are accomplished and have been dating, etc., I don't know about the vast majority, but I'll tell you there's going to be a significant percentage that have run into the system and have been turned off and checked the hell out like I am. And like millions of other, like the articles and the stats that I've just told you. They're not going to be available. So who's going to be available? The simps that are unaware of what's going on. The losers. And if you want to attract those other men, you're going to have to bend over backwards to convince them that they're not going to have the problems that they've already had before. Because as I started to say, you can see the tsunami of videos of these young ladies crying in their cars saying, why don't men approach? Why do men just ghost me? Why did they just pump and dump me? When's going to be my turn? And on the inverse, from the men's side, you hear these women are toxic as hell. Stay away from them. Don't ever get married. Go your own way. Work on yourself. That's the reality of what's going on. And I'll tell you, by you making videos like this, Caitlin, you're not going to attract you too many of the type of suitors you want. You'll get all kinds of simps in your comment, like you're about to cover right over here, to prove my own point. You just own yourself time and time again with your own information that you put up here.
You really want to know the truth, and I'm extremely selective, and even then you can't find a mature guy who can hold a conversation.
Yep, and that's another one. I'm extremely selective. At your age, at 38, with all this baggage, right, with a small pool, like I said, because you're not going to be dating guys, you're going to have an age restriction, you're going to have a success restriction. You just said you want to have a stimulating conversation. We could go on and on and on and on. What's in it for him? Just a big old checklist. And you're completely deluded to it. This is why the red pill exists. This is what they're talking about.
Like, it's really bad out there. And I know it is for you too. I get it. I know it is bad. And I know there.
No, obviously you don't. Obviously you're lying. Because as you just said in that comment there are far more men that are losers than there are women. So there's a lot more quality women out there, so it can't be that bad for us out here, right? This is what y'all do. You just lie. And you get caught in your lies all the time. And then when we call you out on it, you call us misogynists. And say we're incels and losers, like a little child would, that can't be held accountable.
Are not a lot of great women. Like, it fucking sucks for all of us. Any of us who are like awake and kind of on a spiritual path or just a personal growth journey or whatever. It is not.
Well, that's definitely not you, girl. You haven't even started to wake up or be on a spiritual path. I just got to say, we got to call you out.
Not easy, okay, to find someone. I'm not saying it's impossible, because I do think it's impossible. I'm just saying it hasn't happened for me, okay? The last person that I dated, we dated for 3 months. It got very serious very fast. He wanted a child, but he was a psycho, controlling, jealous guy that started. This
fits the feminist paradigm to a T every single time. I'd love to see the receipts and see what it is. Because I understand that there are control freaks out there. I understand that there are psychos. I understand there are people that can present themselves a certain way. And once you get to know them, they're not really that way. But I'm telling you, every single time I hear these claims, especially from a woman like this, that has already been shown to obfuscate, project, gaslight, claim to be gaslit when she's gaslighting everybody else, then they make these claims, and when you actually talk to the guy or you look into him, you find out that's either half the story, not even close to the truth, completely made up, or a total misrepresentation of what it is. Now, it's worth saying that she had said in another part of the video, I don't believe I played it here, that she did want kids at one time, briefly in her life. For the most part, she never wanted kids, but briefly at one time because she met a guy that wanted kids, that she considered having kids. That's this guy. Okay, now listen to the other details. She was with him for 3 months. I don't know if she said it here or if she said it in the other part. She was in love with him, but then had to break up at 3 months. So she had fallen with him, and she said this was 5 years ago. She was 33, not 21, not 18. Okay, not a little girl, right? She wants to be taken seriously, supposedly. Wants to convince us all that she's not a feminist. She's thought things through, etc., etc. So at 33, in 3 months, she's never wanted kids. She falls so hard for this guy that now she says she'll have kids with him, but then discovers that he's a maniac. Okay? Like, this is like straight out of a movie, right? Is this believable? Because I'm going to say this is not believable at all. At all. At all. It's not believable at all. I'm going to posit something that's a lot more believable. That as it started to get more serious, then he started to say, okay, this is going to get a lot more serious. I'm going to start taking it as such. And he actually started kind of putting her to the test and holding her accountable. Because she says, I don't know if she's already said or she'll say it when I play it again, that he wanted to control everything. And pretty well every time I look into this, what it is he's like, okay, so now we're going to have an open phone policy. Okay, now that we're getting to this level, let me ask about these 3 male friends. Let me ask about this behavior. Let me ask about your feminist mother that completely, totally has a lot of influence on you still, even though you deny it. And then she freaks out because she's now being held accountable for the first time in her life, especially by a man. Okay? And you can tell by the way that she talks, once again, I mean, and then she's gonna follow this up as I play it, that she briefly dated another guy that she says the same thing about. Time and time again, they're controlling their massages. She just couldn't pick up any of the red flags. This is what's really going on, and the red pill will show you this by the tens of thousands in discussions, in examples, accounts of what men have gone through, accounts from women, etc. That obviously now she's done with feminism, and she can see she's not going to be around the male feminists, she's not going to be around the solo boys, unless they're in their comments saying nice things to her, of course, right? But she's not going to date in real life. She needs a quote-unquote real man that can step up to the plate. These days, red pill awareness, anti-feminism, and the insaneness of the toxicity of feminism has gotten so overwhelming, is in such volume, is so mainstream, that almost any masculine man that is on task, that has experience with women, is going to have some level of red pill awareness. Whether they actually say that they have it, whether they actually go to the manosphere, they're going to have some of it. Of actually realizing, hey, they've seen their brothers go through it, they've seen their fathers go through it, they've seen their cousins go through it, they've seen their sons go through it. So they're going to do some holding accountability. Okay, so they're actually going to be some masculine, stoic men that keep frame, that she's going to be attracted to. But these women are so accustomed, as we're seeing in this video here, of having things their way, dictating the terms. Okay, but he's going to be a proper man that has it together, mature, so he's going to be cool in the beginning. He's going to understand like I do. These women have been propagandized. We know they're not going to be all together, etc. I'm going to see if I can work with them. So they go for a bit, etc., and they're like, okay, maybe there might be potential here. But I better make sure I disqualify this and this and this that I'm seeing before I go ahead. And so then when they actually, once again, just push back and start to actually push those buttons to see what she's really made of, now they show their true colors. As I've said my whole life, anybody can be cool when the going is easy. You see a person's true colors when they get put to the test, when they get put under the gun. That's when the real person comes out. And so that's what they find out. And then, of course, so she freaks the hell out because she's never had it before, because it's going to be very uncomfortable. When you've always been privileged, you've never been held accountable. When somebody actually does it, especially when you are a fully formed adult, have always had it your way, it's always, quote unquote, worked for you because you've been propped up by a feminist system. It gives you advantages at every turn. as Helen Thomas says. Was it Helen Thomas? No, Helen Andrews, of the Great Feminization. That's exactly what her take is on it. This is why these women are dominating. It's not like what the feminist says because they're just bad, bees, etc. I mean, this is a textbook case of what is so wrong with modern women and their behavior and their outlook.
Going through my stuff and accusing me of things that weren't happening at all. So I had to break up with him. And
let's see the receipts, what that is. And let's hear his side.
that was 5 years ago, and I haven't dated anyone since. I briefly dated one guy for a couple months, and I thought that I really liked him, and I realized that he was probably similar to your audience. He was like a woman hating. He was listening to these radio shows where they just say the most vulgar, disgusting, gross things about women and porn, and it is so offensive. And he's one of these red pill masculine men. And by the way, that's another point that I want to bring up about your audience, because one of the guys in your comments.
Okay, this is going to get totally golden here. Okay, but let's stop it right there. This is going to be the last one, then I'll wrap it up. This video is way too long, but I just had to do it. I had to do it. As you can see, this is so vintage of all this behavior here. So then she goes on to another guy that, once again, by her own admission, only 2 months, she couldn't recognize any of this after a couple of dates, right? She went 2 months with the guy, that he's a woman hater, a misogynist woman hater, right? I've had this said to me before, too, for talking like the way that I'm talking. So, as I've said to women, okay, so I'm out there, so this is where you must be coming from. That if you're saying that I'm a misogynistic woman hater, but I'm out there trying to meet women and date them. So, therefore, the only logical conclusion is that I must be like a serial killer because I hate women and yet I'm trying to date them. So I couldn't be dating them because I like women and want to have their company. It's because I actually hate them and want to gaslight you and predate upon you and make you actually grape you or delete you one day. You see how, and you can't even pick that out from a man that that's actually what he is. And that's what they would probably tell you that they couldn't, because that's how dangerous men are, of course. That would be the obvious corollary. Right, the obvious extrapolation that you would get to, which is not just feminist, it is quintessential radical feminism to have that outlook on life. And they're completely unaware that they even have it. But it's woven into every fiber of their being since they were born about the evil man. Okay? So then she goes on to say that they said the most disgusting things. What did they say about the women, like Jedediah Beale does? That they're complete 304s, that they're all over OnlyFans, that they're watching these videos of women on college campuses like I've recently seen, where they were asked, women that are 20 years old, 19 years old, 21 years old, well, what do they think the average body count is for a woman at that age on college campus? I think the lowest number was 25. Highest was up to 50. Now, and she would probably tell you the classic feminist line right here. Well, who cares? Who cares what a man can go and sleep around and it doesn't really matter. A man can have 10,000 kids in his lifetime. You can't, women. It's not the same. It's not the same. And furthermore, the men aren't doing that. They aren't. You yourself say it. There's all these incels everywhere. And actually, there are. There are a ton of them. There are way more male virgins today than there are female virgins. It's the men that are going through, it's the women that are going through all this, running through these guys. And once again, it's not the act of just the intercourse itself. That's actually just a very small part of it. It is the trying to do the relationships, getting broken up with, getting gaslit, getting used and abused by Chad, thinking that you're going to have a chance, partying while you're doing it, that is completely eroding your character while you're doing all of this selfish lifestyle. That is the point. So guys are talking about this is what modern women are doing. Let me see if I save this one. Are guys talking about this? No, I didn't save it. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. Oh, yeah, I can. I know where it's at. I'm just going to my history here. And we'll find him right here.
These chicks will twist anything.
Ace Nate. This is one of the incel losers that she would be referring to as red pill content creators. 165,000 subscribers. No homo, but I'd say if I was going to be gay, I'd definitely go for Nate. Well-spoken guy, pretty good looking, looks like he's doing well for himself. So check this out. Is this the behavior that some of these men are talking about?
Concern over a general lack of good manners, like most of the women that discuss this do.
Every time I post a video about, how a man should be taking care of his woman, spoiling her, whatever, there's always men in the comments, and it honestly makes me laugh. They say, it goes both ways. It goes both ways. I think that is, hilarious. That's honestly the problem. Men like that, you have to stay away from. Honestly, the problem. Because, what do you mean? You need to do your part. Make your woman feel good. Treat her good. Spoil her. And in return, you get 10 times more when you do that. You get 10 times more.
Right.
But the problem is that men don't even want to try anymore. They don't even want to bother. They're stingy. They're gross. They're selfish. And yeah, they're wondering. They're wondering why.
Yeah. So there we go, right? There we go once again. Just to prove the point once again. You can find videos released by the tens of thousands like this every day. The arrogance, the entitlement. She's sitting there trying to tell men what they need to do, and then immediately follows up with they're stingy, they're gross, they're losers, just like this woman does. It's everywhere. It's just a constant insulting, belittling, and yet she will have the audacity to sit here and say that dad mode and dark mode is the one that wants her to be a slave. It's trying to paint them to be a slave and just stay in the kitchen. And yet these women are all over the place, gloating, dripping with condescension and immaturity, and making mocking little voices at grown men. I mean, if men pull that shit, well, I mean, at least when we had a good level of, I'm old enough to remember these days, you pulled that shit as another male with another man when I was a teenager or a young man, you ran a high risk of getting your teeth knocked out. And that was a good thing. That's how we kept people in check. Right? Oh, can you imagine? These women would just melt down. Unless, of course, you were doing it for her on the behest of her. Then you're being a good boy and being in your place. This is just insane. In absolutely intolerable situation. Absolutely. So where were we? Back with her second relationship of another guy that, he was a toxic red pill guy that they would say she was so offensive. Well, I think it's Aaron Clary, another great manosphere guy, an economist, that broke down doing an analysis on by judging by the amount of subscriptions and the amount of memberships, etc., of women on OnlyFans or sugar daddy sites, seeking arrangements, other forms, that the numbers were astonishing. Something like 1 in 4, like 25% of women that are between like 21 and 45, like prime dating and marriageable ages, are doing some kind of sex work, and that's just by like the official numbers. Doesn't even include just being the random hookups and giving guys gummers and getting trains ran on them in the backseat of people's cars, et cetera, et cetera. So men are, but I guess none of that's gross or offensive to her, right? The teachers, as I mentioned before, doing this type of stuff to their students isn't offensive or gross at all. It's just the men that call it out and say, "Hey, man, these women are trash." That's what's so gross, right? Quintessential feminist supremacism, right there. That they can't have these conversations. Right? I mean, if you were over there talking about how you wanted to, do serial K-esque things to a pure nun, yep, that dude is disgusting. Completely, totally on board with you. Okay, why they wanted to, or how they want to get on some lines and find some, PDF file material. Absolutely disgusting. Give us some receipts here, Caitlin, of that's what you're talking about. Because I'm about 100% sure you're talking about exactly what I just outlined. Men talking about the common behavior of modern women. And you won't have none of that. Miss me with all that. No, I'm sorry, we won't.
The last person that I dated, we dated for 3 months. It got very serious very fast. He wanted a child, but he was a
we already played this one. Okay. So that's the guy that she wanted the child with, and then she found out that he was a psychopath. Oh, I think. I
That
mixed
said
those up.
he used to follow me. He used to
There
follow
we
my
go.
channel, and he had to stop because he
Okay, so here we go. This is golden as well too. All right. So watch this and let's see. And if we could talk to this man, I'd like to see too if it's really the way that she says it
can't
is.
support a woman like that. He doesn't agree with my lifestyle. I would like to insert some screenshots of messages that he sent me. This guy was so thirsty and was trying to get me to come visit him, come stay with him, telling me about how big his house is and how many bedrooms he has, telling me on my road trip I could swing by and stop. He has fresh chicken eggs for me to pick up. This guy is like in his 50s or 60s trying so hard to get my attention. I was not interested and kind of kept telling him that in a nice way. And he kept watching all my stories on Instagram, sweating me, responding to all my stories, commenting all the time for over a year. Started in November of 2024 with these messages, just stopped in this past October. And now all of a sudden he's on your channel saying he can't agree with my lifestyle. Yeah, buddy, that's because you would love if I told him right now I would fuck him and that I wanted to date him, I wanted to come visit him. Oh my God, he would be fucking drooling waiting for me outside the front door.
No, I highly doubt it. Once again, F you, yeah, sure, that's not a flex at all. Big deal. When women can get sex extremely easily, this is why for all of time and currently today, why still it's looked down upon. Of course, the feminists are trying to change that massively, so they can have the power, so they can lead with their sex as a PowerPoint, just like she's doing over here, because that's what they have. That is what they can have over men, for power leverage, because that is what is very intoxicating when men will give up their monopoly on physical force for women if they can use their sexuality to beguile, intoxicate, bamboozle men. So not a flex at all. But as far as having a relationship with you, well, didn't she just say that she had left her channel and went to his channel because she couldn't have a relationship with her, because he then come to find out about her lifestyle? So I don't know. You just seem to have contradicted yourself once again. Railing you out, yeah, BFD. That is totally cringe and a self-own, as though what? As what? And then she's going to go on to say here that all of the guys in his comment section would do the same. They actually just want her so much. I highly doubt that. Highly doubt that. Give us some receipts. And once again, to pound you out, big deal. To have a relationship with you, do you really think of seeing this performance like here that any red pill guys? I mean, well, what sane man would want to be around this amount of entitlement and gaslighting and screeching and potty mouth and infantile insulting? How is that appealing to anybody at all, unless you're totally an emasculated little bee as a man that, wants to get pegged 3 times a day by your old lady? And I guess those are the guys that she thinks that, or that she wants, or that she attracts, and then she wants to complain that they're all a bunch of losers. Sorry, you made your bed, lie in it.
And I guarantee that is most of the guys in your comment section. Just going to throw it out there. And yeah, maybe I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and maybe not everyone thinks I'm attractive, but I can almost guarantee you that like 80 to 90% of the sad, pathetic, miserable, lonely men in your comment section would definitely sleep with me if they had the chance. But instead they want...
So once again, yeah, it's like, yeah, so basically like I'm a prostitute, I guess, and all of these pathetic, sad, lonely men, will be totally attracted to her. So she's the sad, lonely, pathetic man's type of woman. Do you not hear yourself? Would she go to a comment section that she could confirm were a bunch of cowboy alpha chads, and then make the same claim? The type of men that she would want, right? Because now that she's not a feminist anymore, and she's on board with the traditional thing, that are all like well over 6 feet, well built, tradespeople, very well balanced, good family men, etc. And she could say, well, every one of them would just line up to bang me out. Of course she wouldn't. just a loser. She's basically saying to herself that if we're to believe that the guys in the comments section, let's take it at face value, give her the benefit of the doubt, and say that they're a bunch of losers, incel losers, but they'll take her. Good Lord, a total cell phone.
Want to say, oh my God, she looks 10 years older than she actually is. Yeah, you want to talk about cope? Dude, that is the ultimate cope.
Now and talking about it, because now
once again, if she were to sell, I don't have any problem to concede that, yeah, guys will, pound out a lot of things. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean you'll marry you. It doesn't mean, as you think, that they definitely would date you. You'd have to be insane as any masculine man to date a woman like this. It would be so insufferable and intolerable for even a single date. It wouldn't be pleasurable company. It just wouldn't. In any way, shape, or form. Anyway, I don't know. There's more that can be said. Probably should wrap it up there. It's already too long. I'm going to send this video to her. And I'm going to send it to old dad mode and dark mode and see if we can get some traction from it. But it's been a slice. And there is your stereotypical vintage modern woman for you. Hold the line, boys. It's getting real out there. That's the vid.